in your
Huh?
emails. And one of the, I mean, you could talk about writer's block with this topic. We could talk about why some people write consistently boring, lame emails that don't make any money, and then come to the conclusion that email doesn't work. The question is, how do you inject creativity into your copy, into your mind, into your writing? How do you come up with awesome, creative, interesting, off-the-wall, funky, emotionally connected ideas that your people will respond to? And there's so many different ways to do this. And it is not about email, I want to point out. Email is the medium, but it's not about email. So we're going to be talking about creativity. Where do you get your inspiration? How can you get ideas for emails? Where can you find more sources of inspiration? There are so many different ways to do this. And I think that's what we're talking about today.
Cool. I'm waiting for the alert to come up, and it's not coming up.
The alert?
Yeah, that we're live on your personal profile today.
Fascinating.
Here, let's see. Nope, that wasn't it. So I'll just go over to your profile directly.
Yeah, I'm already over there. I'm checking. Bum, 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 bum. So yeah, guys, we're testing some stuff out, and we're broadcasting. Yeah, we are in fact live on my personal profile. So that is good news. Good news.
Cool.
It's very good news. So first of all, let's talk a little bit about creative emails. Maybe some of the most creative emails we've ever seen. You just forwarded me a funny one the other day.
Yeah.
Just yesterday. Hey, Gene. Good morning.
Good morning, Gene.
So, what do you think, Joshua? What are some of the most interesting, most creative, most captivating emails that you've seen?
Well, it depends on what I'm into, obviously, and you know what the stage of my awareness is of what I'm relating to. I enjoy your emails, and I also enjoy Laura over at Talking Shrimp. She is just hilarious to me. She has a way to inject her life into her copy, and really, for me, it's when I find engaging personally is when they share a slice of life about what's going on for them behind the scenes, without without putting on airs of, Mr. and Mrs. Professional and, we here at ABC Company and all that,
Right.
like I want to be recognized as a real human being and spoken to as such. And I like irreverent people. So that resonates with me. And she's one of the people that happens to be irreverent. But she also is in my inbox every day. And she's one of those ones. I can't say that I will read every single one of her emails, but I'd say 95% of her emails stay in my inbox before I, and read them before they get pushed to the other extreme, so to speak.
Yeah, there have been so many interesting emailers over the years, and they tend to come and go to some degree, but some of the more interesting people do stand the test of time. I recently told the NPOD students about this, but there's one email list, Instagram feed, Facebook feed that I love to watch, and that's Bunsters. And Bunsters makes this hot sauce called Shit the Bed. And it's an Australian company. And it was started by this woman. I'm forgetting her first name. Maybe it's like Kathy or something like that, or Melissa. It's a very standard name. And she looks like a pretty normal person. It's kind of brunette, Australian, Caucasian, but she's extremely irreverent. And I mean, she calls her hot sauce Shit the Bed. She has this whole line of hot sauces, and she is the best marketed hot sauce in the industry. But she sends out emails on a regular basis, and all of her fans will send in lewd pictures of food with like high, it looks very questionable in its display, and lots of obscene sausage pictures and things. It's great, and she's just incredibly funny. So that's a funny list to be on. I mean, on the far not other end of the spectrum, but still equally as entertaining in a different way, of course, is Matt Fury's list. Matt Fury still writes awesome emails.
Yep.
He's been in the game for a super long time, and
yep.
He may even have been like the creator of the email a day, email every day kind of an attitude. He may have been at the early end of that spectrum.
Well, he definitely is, from the standpoint of longevity, and definitely is in the standpoint of being real in his emails.
Right.
What you see is what you get. At least, so I've never worked with him personally, but I get the feeling from his emails that he's the same in them as he is in
right.
real life.
Right.
Gene asked a really good question that you and I may have different answers to. Do you want to put it up, or do you? I
think it's a great. Yeah, I just threw it up there. It's a great
okay.
question. So it says, Gene says, so do you have to just start sending regular emails to see what they resonate with? So before we answer this question, Gene, I want to clarify your meaning of the word regular so that I understand what you really mean. Do you mean sending normal emails? Do you mean sending emails consistently? What do you mean by the word regular? I just want to make sure that I'm actually answering the question you're asking. So try to explain what you mean by the word regular, or restating the question if you can. We'll try to answer it in the meantime.
And the term regular for you, what does that mean? I'm assuming that regular, the way I read it to be, but now I'm questioning it. But the way that I took it to be was like on a continuous basis.
Frequently.
Frequently, right?
Yeah.
So if it is frequency, what I would also like to know, what is your frequency rate that you're asking about?
Right. So you want to answer this first?
Sure.
Hit it.
I'm a big fan of consistent scheduled emails every other day. Okay, cool.
Okay, great.
So we're on the same page. I'm a fan of being who you are and letting that resonate with the people, right? Rather than mold yourself into something else so that you appeal to them and that they then come to you, that you turn yourself inside out. I'm not a fan of that. However, having said that, like in the context of what we're doing now in these live streams, here's an example. Like in the context of who Telman and I are, and we're staying true to who we are, but we're trying to serve our audience in the best way in that way as well. And so we're testing different approaches. We're testing different technologies so that we can, reach our audience that we are hoping to serve and make an impact on a regular basis, and having that kind of interactivity, so to speak. So from there, yes, I would like if you get somebody to respond to something that you like, that you're sharing with them, that's an engagement tool, and that seems to resonate with more than just one person. Don't assume just because one person says that was brilliant that everybody's going to agree with him or her, but it's an indication that you should test the waters with something similar and, continue to something that you build things backwards. One of the things that I am a fan of is seeing where people are and using email as the communication medium and posing reasons for them to want to email you back, whatever the reason is. And one of my big things that I enjoy doing is recognition, just mentioning whether I agree or disagree. If I get an email from somebody, I like to praise them. I like to give them recognition and talk about who they are and what they had to say, not going against any privacy concerns, obviously, but I want to give them props, whether I agree, disagree, or whether it's on topic, off topic, because I know that the more people that see their name in print and the more people that see their fellow subscribers' names in print, they will want to be recognized as well, and that will increase the responsiveness there. So that's my long-winded answer.
So, very good long-winded answer, for the record. No, it's really, really good stuff. And there are a few different ways of looking at this. I totally agree with you in terms of not trying to become something that you're not. But I'm also a big fan with pushing yourself outside of your comfort zone and acquiring new skills, even if they make you feel uncomfortable. And sometimes it's hard to tell the difference between, am I just uncomfortable because I'm learning something new and I'm banging my head against a wall, or am I trying to pretend to be something that I'm not? And so,
yeah, I didn't mean that at all. So
right.
I'm in full alignment with you there. What I was just referring to, like trying to turn myself into something that everybody will like.
Yeah. I learned long ago that, like, in junior high, maybe elementary school, I realized that just wasn't going to work out for me. I hear you on that.
Yeah, no, I know you get it. I wanted to clarify what I was saying, because obviously I didn't do a clear enough job on that portion.
Well, what I mean is, for me, sometimes it's hard when I'm working on something new, or I'm around a bunch of people that are totally different than me, or I'm in a different environment or a different community, a different place, and it can be difficult to be like, okay, I'm going outside of my comfort zone here, and I'm experiencing something new. I'm learning how to do something. I'm learning how to be a different way, versus I'm being a poser. I'm just trying to get people to like me, and sometimes that can get a little blurry, and it's important to keep yourself in check with that. Like, as you're practicing this stuff, because if you go on the other side of, outside of your moral, ethical standpoint, or you're just like, trying to be cool or whatever, good luck with that,
Right.
Good luck.
You bring up a good point too. The part about, like, if you're trying new things and in that moment you really truly could be something different, and you're trying it on, and then you decide, you know what, this isn't me.
That's right.
And I guess that's a different set of things altogether. What I'm talking about is just telling people what they want to hear, just because it will make them more responsive or not. And, right. Worrying about, like, am I pleasing everybody on my list, which you can't do anyway. And right. It's much more valuable to you to get somebody that doesn't truly get what you're about off your list.
Right.
So that because you're speaking to, Gary Halbert used to have a very not politically correct way of saying this, and I'll quote him, and then we can turn it into. But he said, "You're writing for the foxes. You're not writing for the dogs."
That's right.
And what he meant by that is that when he wrote his now world famous full page classified ad to get a new girlfriend, he talked about all the nuances that he did want, and he was very specific. And he didn't care about the people that would respond and be pissed off by it, because that's not who he wanted.
Right.
And so, like, the same thing applies here.
It does. And quick shout out to a bunch of folks. Mark Robinson, good to see you. Joel Johnson, superhero name if I've ever heard one. Mark Kingston. Jeff.
Valentina.
Hughes. Valentina, hello. Ozer, nice to see you again, my friend. Josh Gale, what's up? Eric Stafford. Hey, Eric, how's it going, man? We're going to have to dive bomb your D&D game sometime, little guest D&D action. Phil Coble, hello. Michael Salventi, I think is how you say your name. Anyway, hello, everybody who's joining in from the various locations that you're joining in from. It's great to see you all. Let me see. Okay, couple things on email and frequency. Now, there's an ongoing debate that will probably go on forever about when people join your list and they start getting your autoresponder sequence, right? They start getting your automated emails, and if you're an NPOD student, then you've really put a lot of time, effort, and energy into building out your signature story. You've put time into figuring out everything that you're going to put out there. You've the stories about yourself, your background, the products and services you're selling. You're building this autoresponder sequence out. Maybe it's going to be for 2 weeks. Maybe it's going to be for 2 months. Heck, maybe it's going to be for 2 years, whatever it is. The question is, that's going to go out and it's going to drip out over time to everybody that joins your list. So what are you going to do with your broadcasts in the meantime when you're sending out a broadcast, boom, out to everybody? And some people don't send broadcasts out at all to people that recently joined their list and are currently on their sequence. Other people absolutely send broadcasts out in addition to their sequence. And some people have a sequence that goes out every day, and they still send a broadcast out every day to their list. And there's no one right or one wrong way to do this. Okay?
Yeah, you just got to be in alignment with what's right for you.
Yeah, it's kind of like, what's the right way to clean your kitchen? Like, everybody's got their own style, right? So,
right. Oh, by the way, hello, Robin from the UK. And he also asks, I'm assuming it's a him. Maybe forgive me if I've got that wrong. What's NPOD? You want to do that? You want me to?
Good question. We'll circle around to what's NPOD in just 1 second. Simon Headley, hello. You need to get back on your videos, my friend. Big videos in 99 days. Tom Collins, you as well. I need you to find young men to bring the action back into your 99 days madness. I'd really appreciate it. It'd be awesome. And Jay Miller, Thomas Morgan, what is up? So it's nice that we're doing our videos a little bit differently today. I definitely want to talk a little bit more about frequency for Gene of emails. But I think now would be a time to talk about NPOD. What is NPOD? You want me to go first?
Sure. Or I can, whatever. It's fine.
NPOD is like the lost Ark of the Covenant.
I'm glad you went first then.
It's the holy grail of marketing. It will bestow upon you infinite wealth, powers beyond your wildest dreams, and grant all of your wishes for you and everyone you hold dear. NPOD.
Please, the gods of Facebook algorithms, do not kick us off permanently.
No, so I'm obviously exaggerating, but only a little, really. NPOD, in one of its original earlier forms, I went through, and it's a system. It's a system and a process that Joshua Shafran. Wait. Joshua Shafran created.
Now you know why I reverse my camera from time to time.
Great. That Joshua
so
Shafran
I can turn
created.
my head and actually look at you.
I went through it in 2003. It was my first internet marketing home study course, and it taught me how to build my first $1 million business online. It gave me the kind of the foundational framework to not just like be chasing opportunities or like cloning somebody else's business in a box or doing a bunch of weird, shady, funky, uncool stuff. It basically gave me a way of creating businesses around my passions, my desires, and my interests. And I built $1 million business around it. And then I proceeded to use the principles in order to make millions and millions and millions and millions of dollars. Joshua and I have teamed up recently, and we are currently bringing on new NPOD clients and students, entrepreneurs, business owners, who are looking to start a new business online or to bring their existing business online or take their existing online business and blow it up with email marketing by building their audience and their platform. It is a comprehensive, principle-based process and system that as you go through it, you learn a piece and then you take action on it and you build it. And then you learn a piece and you take action on it and you build it. So it's kind of a learning by doing process versus an entirely mental, more academic style process. And anyway, if you've ever wanted to build a giant email list that wants to buy all your products and services, NPOD basically is the answer. If you're interested in hearing more about NPOD, just type NPOD into the comments and shoot Joshua or I a message or a private message and let us know you're interested in hearing more about NPod. We'll ask you some questions about what you have going on, and then we'll let you ask some questions about NPod. And if it makes sense, we can talk a little bit more. So just type NPO, and it stands for Net Profits on Demand, by the way. Net Profits on Demand is the acronym. What's your version of what is NPod, Joshua?
Without all the hype and hoopla that you just said, it's a sum total of my experiences from 1999 through the end of 2002, where in that 3 to 4 year period, I did a little bit better than $50 million in gross revenues across 30, probably as many as 40 something different industries. And it's the sum total of those experiences that I put together. And I did it in what I thought was a unique way, because I have learning disabilities and I learn very differently. I didn't learn to talk till late. I didn't learn to walk until almost 2 years old. Walk, talk, the whole Megillah. And I just have a different, and I also didn't learn to read until I was almost 13 years old. There's a very different style by which I have to learn. And that's where the learn by doing stuff comes into play is, I got really frustrated when I was trying to figure this stuff out. And so, prior to 99 and 90, well, really 98, I tried a bunch of things and, got scared and didn't have success with it. And basically I could divide all the products and training programs that I had purchased, which at the time, before I made any money, was well over $65,000. And that's big money if you rewind the tape, because
Right.
I purchased all that stuff from 1991 through 1997 before I made any real money as a result of it. And I realized that I had to learn by doing. And so I took massive action. And that was that experience of going from nothing to breakthrough successes over the course and frankly, traumatic failures at the same time in there. And just for the record, many, many, many more failures than wins went into making that 50 million in gross revenues that I threw out there earlier. And so the learn by doing aspects, I had to learn by doing in the trenches, in the mud, the blood, and the flood of the unforgiving front lines of business, which is real. When you screw up there, real money's on the line, real mistakes are made. And I made whoppers of them. I mean, talk about like $1.2 million gone in the blink of an eye because of merchant account issues.
Yes. Love that.
Yeah. And those types of things. So what I wanted to do is give the same kind of experiential approach to the learn by doing aspects without the risk.
Right.
So that's what I created NPod around. And I also wanted it to be principle based. I wanted it to be lasting. And so that's where, NPod started in 2003, was based on all of that. And, it's interesting because I took it off the market in 2009. So during that, what's that, a six year run? It basically sold as well on day one as it did on day 2009 when I shut it down. And then even more so when you convinced me temporarily to sell you my inventory so that you could resell it and also give it to your family and clients, which I did for the remaining inventory that I had left. And that wasn't until like 2011. Anyway, I'm now rambling. The point is that it's principle based, and it also forms around your specific vision. Like Telman said earlier, it's not enough to be like you have to have a methodology of being able to implement and to see success, but see success on your terms according to what you want it to look like. and in a subject area that you truly have an interest in, that you're not just chasing the money, so to speak.
Right. That's right. So it's but it is a complete system and not just updated, but completely rebuilt from the bottom up using all the same principles. We went through, did redid all of the trainings for, to bring them all up to speed to now. You learn basics of traffic and how to get started driving traffic, how to choose your market, your tribe, your niche. It teaches you about copywriting, how to bond with your people, how to start thinking about funnels, how to start communicating and connecting with your people through community and or Facebook groups. You end up learning about live streaming. There are a lot of pieces to the puzzle that you learn about as you go through the process. So if you've ever wanted to really build a long-term sustainable business that is audience-based, you want to build a large following of people who want to buy the types of products and services that you want to offer, NPod might be interesting to you. So that is NPod. That's what we're talking about when we're throwing the NPod around.
And that was the long infomercial version.
That's right. That's right. Dude, we should totally, you know what we should do? I think we should, I think that we should do an infomercial. And I think we should go to some of the infomercial scripts that we know work and tweak them for Facebook Live and totally script out a crazy infomercial and go completely over the top with it. Like make it hilariously hypey. It'd be so good. It'd be so good.
And get zero viewership.
I don't know if we really went over the top with it on purpose and made it amusing, like satire.
I'm laughing actually about did you see, I'm sure you've seen it, Kenny Glickman's friend that did the nut bra long form TV commercial based on, like all these.
Yeah. So
are your nuts old and saggy?
Good. That's nice.
And then he leans into the camera. Now the only thing busting my balls is my wife.
That's right. You have this whole thing like right there.
Oh, dude, I watched it so many times because it was so brilliantly done. It's exactly what you're talking about with the core principles.
That's right.
Like what's that, Gene? I'm not familiar. Ad zombies.
I've seen some ads for ad zombies, but I don't know them that much. Interesting. So check it out. So, Gene, you were asking about frequency. Let's circle back. So, my experience has been that if you're trying to build connection with your people, the more frequently you connect with them overall, the more they're going to recognize you, the more they're going to know who you are, the more they're going to like you, the more they're going to trust you. Now, there are some caveats to this. If you're just hammering your list every single day with a spammy ad, like most people aren't going to stick around that long, right? If you, it's not good enough to just send something to your list every day. If you want them to stick around, it's the same kind of idea as when you're writing long copy. Every sentence is there to get you to read the next sentence. Every email you send out, yes, it's there to make money, but it's also there to get them to read the next email. And so I recommend that you do increase your frequency. And one of the reasons that I recommend that you increase your frequency is so you get more practice writing to your people, to sharpen your sword, to hone your skills, to get better at coming up with subject lines, to get better at learning about copy, and then it gives you more opportunities to try things. Okay. And so if you read a new book about copywriting and you're sending an email every day, guess what? You can try something today. You don't have to wait a week for your next newsletter to come out or whatever. And getting into the rhythm of writing frequently, especially if you're already creating some sort of daily content like Facebook Lives. It gives you have everything you need to write every day because you're already creating content. You can do your Facebook Live and send people to it after the fact if you want to. And it gives you or whether you're doing individual drawings or paintings like we had talked about, writing frequently. If you're not an amazing copywriter, the reality is the more practice you get, the better. And so that, for me, is one of the biggest reasons I recommend that people move toward writing daily as quickly as possible. If your list is brand new and you're just building it out of the blue, I would recommend that you start writing daily immediately. But if it's bigger and it's been around for a while, I would build up to 7 days a week over the course of 7 weeks, right? Week one email a week, week two emails a week, week three emails a week. And at some point, you might not want to keep doing daily, but you might find it is such a great way of staying in touch with your customers and clients. And if you're really routine driven, if you know that setting, 45 minutes aside from 7 a.m. to 7:45 is the best way for you to make sure to bang out that email every day. It's kind of like doing your push-ups, right? So for me, part of it is staying in consistent and frequent touch. But for me, it's really like email is the backbone of my business. And if I write every day, I consistently get better. And if I don't write every day, I get rusty. Even after 17 years, I still get rusty. So that's my opinion. I recommend you write as frequently as possible.
I agree wholeheartedly, especially with the point about getting rusty. You will find as you build momentum, the law of increase will take hold, and likewise the law of inertia if you fall backwards. However, you got to make sure that you're training your list, you're conditioning them the right way, and that not. Sometimes you might want to leave sometimes you might want to write every day, but not send it every day necessarily.
That's right.
So that you keep in the practice of doing that. And you will find, just like Telman was talking about, like if you have a big list that hasn't been used to daily communication from you, and then you all of a sudden shift it, that they don't know what to do because they've been conditioned, they've been trained to respond, and their expectations have grown to develop a certain way. And reprogramming them, those conditions, reprogramming those default type behaviors sometimes is hard. Because they have it written in stone, what they expect and what their behavior has come to be inside of your ecosystem. On your list, they behave a certain way, and on another list, they behave a totally other way because they interact with, each list owner separately, differently. So those are some considerations to factor in. The other thing that I am a big fan of is open loops and tension, and to do things, oftentimes tension can be built with time, like a delay of time, rather than being daily. So if they're now, this is the caveat that goes along with this, is the people have to be excited about it. They have to be engaged with it. They have to want what you're talking about. They have to enjoy the insights that you're giving them, and are on the edge of their seat waiting for the next one to come down the pike because you've teased them prior to.
Right.
You've given, you've kept them engaged, and the longer it's a positive tension, but the longer that you build that tension, the more responsive they become. That's another thing that, when you finally do take them, and give them that anticipated relief, then open up another loop and build even more tension the next time through.
That's right.
And not only is that not a manipulation, it actually is a warranted. Your people will thank you for doing it, because we love a good mystery. We want to know that, we want to be engaged. We enjoy that romance. When everything is just, wham, bam, thank you, ma'am, it's not, it's not fun anymore, right? So that's another consideration. The other thing to take into thought with the ongoing communication, and Talman's point about building a relationship and communicating daily with the people that you actually care about is very well taken. However, you can also do it in a way that grows it exponentially bigger. For example, if you're doing daily live streams and you send in an announcement email to your list about some content that you're either going to talk about today or you did talk about yesterday, for example, and you move them from one medium to the other and then back again, you will find that they become that much more hyper responsive, and that there's a familiarity that starts to happen. It's part of the influential triggers that that Cialdini wrote about, in his research from way back in the day. But that you will find that every time you change mediums, Facebook to YouTube, Facebook to email, email to Facebook and back again, or to a blog, or to every time they change mediums, there's an enhancement that happens mentally for them with you. And there's a the halo effect happens on each set of, each environment that they're in. And something happens when they crisscross back and forth. There's more of a bond that starts to unfold. So, just by simply making an announcement in a fun, teasing way about a live stream that you're either going to do at a certain time to get more people to attend live on Facebook, or otherwise. So those are all things that, while email is the engine, the heart of it all, I'm a big fan of crisscrossing mediums. And, even Gary Halbert was one of the first people that taught me this back before the internet was something that people would consider doing business and transacting with their credit cards on. I think it was 95, maybe it was even earlier than that, when there was all the CompuServe bulletin boards and such. But what Halbert did was he put the message out on those bulletin boards and then had them shift mediums to the telephone, and created inbound conversations that way. And it went gangbusters for him. Whereas trying to sell outright at that point didn't. So anyway.
Yeah, I mean, it's the crossing of mediums is absolutely super powerful. And if you do it the right way, you can then create basically traffic streams, right? I like to think about it like this. This is what I strive for, is your job as a list owner, as a leader, presumably as an influencer, as a thought leader of some sort in your area of expertise, to your tribe, to your niche. It's your job to behave, to be the source, the daily source of inspiration for your people, okay? When they open your email, you want them to be like, ah. Now, if you're a comedian, you need to be funny as hell every single day, okay? If you are a, if you're a preacher, a pastor, a minister, a priest, a rabbi, or anything else in any area of religion where you are leading people, okay, with like spiritually leading people, it's spiritual inspiration. Maybe you're funny too, but probably comedy is not your number one focus, right? If you are a marketing guru, your job is to help people have aha moments, to bring them hope, motivation, focus, and excitement, to build their business, to give them hope of the possibility of a better future, right? And the same is true in almost any area. If you're an artist, you're inspiring visually through your work, right? And again, if you're a hot sauce company owner, you have all sorts of options. One of them is being hilarious. So inspiration, the kind of inspiration that people on your list are looking for. And so if you start writing daily, or you work toward that, I completely agree with Joshua that if you get in the habit of writing daily, and then you decide, you know what, I'm gonna really build a super nice autoresponder sequence out for this particular product, or I'm gonna do a product launch, or I'm just gonna whatever is the reason that you're building a sequence out to sell a given product or service, or to bond or connect with your people in a certain way, or to launch a new Facebook group or whatever, that's fine. But you can spend some of that writing time every day writing those emails to build out that long-term asset, the autoresponder sequence, that can work for you in the background all day long. Whether or not you're sending a daily broadcast, you still can do this, right? Even if you are sending a daily broadcast, you can do that for half an hour, and then you can spend another half an hour writing an email to add on to one of your existing autoresponder sequences, right? So you can use that time and that habit of writing every day and sharpening your sword in order to not just make you money today, but make you money tomorrow and hopefully long into the future, right? Awesome. So, what other questions do you guys have about email marketing and creativity? I like to think about email as art. Personally, that's what's happened over the years is I've realized that email is my primary form of expression. And so I like channeling my weird, off-the-wall, wacky, creative, artistic ideas into email. I'm using email as my medium. So if you like writing and you like creative writing in particular, email is a really good way to go. There's so many great things about it. And if you write emails that are inspiring enough and motivating enough and captivating enough, and you set them up the right way, people will share them. Okay. And you can have shared emails that cause list growth. So there are all sorts of cool things that you can get out of actually putting time, effort, and energy into making your emails a masterpiece in and of themselves. And I'm not saying spend your entire life working on one thing, but just make them valuable, make them good, so that people get something out of them, whether or not they buy your product or service, right?
You want them to come away from every exchange with you feeling good about that exchange, regardless of whether they purchase or not. You want them to, the goal should be to enhance the relationship, regardless of whether they take the action that you've intended for them to take, if it's a money action or not. That you just want to serve them and they enjoy it. That's how, when Telman was talking about, like, when your email arrives, they get the, well, that's how you do it. And it's because they emotionally get like that, the endorphins released when they see it's coming from you. If you've done the job of giving them that kind of love or excitement in their life, where they're not getting that anyplace else in that, way, shape, or form. So if you have them come away feeling like their life was improved in some way, shape, or form.
Now, I have good news for you on this, everyone, is that if you want to write more creative emails, you've probably taken copywriting courses in the past. You've probably taken $2,000 copywriting courses in the past. I have, and I love them.
Me too.
But copywriting courses can be expensive, the good ones. However, if you want to get better at writing like short stories, fiction, creative writing, you can do that for $39 on Udemy. Like, there's so many different options that you can, because creative writing it's not a high paid skill, but email marketing is. And so if you want to get better at writing creatively, go and pick up a cheap course on Udemy or one of the other platforms on just improving or buy a book on creative writing or a workbook on creative writing. And I think you'll find that ideas really start popping. Personally, I get tons of my ideas from cartoons. I've always been a cartoon fanatic. I like cartoons way more than any other type of visual entertainment. And when I watch cartoons, what I see are heroes' journey stories. I see mascots all over the place and characters that personify different ideas or principles that I'm going to create fictional email characters from. And I see these different interactions between characters. I see these challenges that they're trying to deal with, the emotions that come up in their interactions and conversations. And I write emails that are inspired by the cartoons that I watch, often with my kids. And but this has been the case since long before I had kids. So I'm not saying that cartoons have to be your source of inspiration, because if you hate cartoons, that's not going to do any good for you. If you love reading comic books, if you like watching.
Well, the point is, to take away from this, is that Telman is going about his daily life, doing what he loves to do, and then inserting that into how he's building his business, how he's communicating with his list.
Exactly. Yeah. And hey, if you vibe with cartoons, then use them as inspiration. But if you don't, use what you have around you. Like do the things that get your creative juices flowing, whether it's watching something, doing something, but engage in those things. And what happens to me is I have aha moments when I'm not expecting it of, oh, what a great email. I pull out my phone and I type in as much of the email as came to me in a flash. And sometimes if it's appropriate, I'll go to the bathroom or something and type the whole email up, just to capture it while it's fresh in my mind.
412, my brother.
No, you know what I'm saying. This is like, if you need to, if you get a flash of inspiration, pull yourself away from the situation and capture as much of that as you can.
Yes. That's very different than saying I'm going to run to the bathroom.
It's a good way of escaping.
It is. Or wherever else it works best for you. That's right. You can also use voice recorder on most phones in order to quickly capture an idea if you're driving or something. I often have cool ideas while I'm driving when I have no one else in the car and there's actually some That's
downtime.
Actually when I have my best ideas.
I don't have to deal with anybody's inbound bullshit or whatever, and then all of a sudden, whoa, had time for actual smart thought, which is nice. But the other thing that will stimulate your creativity and your ability to write more frequently and more freely is practice. Again, the more you practice every day, the easier it's going to come to you. I guarantee it.
For sure.
So on that note, we have a webinar coming up. Now, the webinar registration page is not ready. However, we're going to do a webinar where I'm going to give away my top 30 emails of all time swipe file PDF. Top 30 emails of all time swipe file PDF. And I'll tell you what, a bunch of these things are gems and they're highly unused. A lot of them are super short. Unbelievably, I don't use a lot of these anymore because they're so effective. And I know that doesn't make sense, but I'm going to tell you what that means during the training. These emails are amazing. There's going to be some fictional emails included in there. And what's going to happen is you're going to be able to register for the training, get the PDF, and then I'm going to do a walkthrough of how to use the PDF in order to deploy these emails to your list and have the maximum possible impact in the shortest amount of time to generate more revenue with your email list using these amazing emails. So if you are interested in getting the PDF, and if you're interested in attending the training so you can see how to use the PDF, then type 150 emails into the comments below. 150 emails into the comments below, and send me a private message. Do both. Type 150 emails into the comments below and send me a private message, and I will send you a link later today to the registration page for that webinar. It's either going to be on Thursday or Friday. Joshua, you and I need to put our heads together on that at this point and figure out the best day, but it's going to be coming up this week. And I think you guys are going to like it a lot. So if you want to supercharge your email marketing, take it up to the next level, and get the top 30 emails of all time that we've ever deployed to our lists or given to our affiliates and partners to deploy to their lists, then I would love to share that with you. Just type 150 emails in the comments below.
And be sure to send, if you're watching the rebroadcast of this at any point in time, send either Talman or myself the direct message so that we're sure to see that. And frankly, actually, since Talman's going to be setting up the page, you might want to just send it directly to Talman. That's
right. All right. Send it. Send it. Send it.
Do it.
Okay, guys. I think that's about it for today. There's so much creativity just waiting. I'll tell you one thing that I'm doing right now is I'm listening to Alice in Wonderland on audio, on Audible. There's so many cool things that you can do in order to spark your creativity while you're not writing. So just consider doing those things, listening to truly creative stuff during some of your free time. Highly encourage it.
Yeah, I agree.
Rock and roll! All right, everybody. I hope you have an absolutely awesome afternoon. Susan, I got your message, and I will shoot me a private message as well, and I'll give you a link later today. That's it for
All
now.
right, guys. Thanks for everything, Tillman.
Thanks for everything, Joshua. Over and
See ya.
out.